Okay, I think I'm gonna pull those two bolts out, and then there's two on the other side that I already got out, and then bolts that go around the bottom. You can see the empty hole down there. And then I believe that will get me off. Oh shoot. Okay, so on this oil pan, getting ready to do the oil pan gasket. This has to come off in order to even get to all the bolts on the oil pan. You got two bolts that are going to be on the back side. You don't have to pull that CV axle. And then there's these two bolts that you see up here in the front. Those are easy to get to. They're all 14 millimeter. And then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts. 5 bolts that go around it and bolted to the transmission. Okay, so 5, 7, 9 bolts to get this piece off that protects the oil pan next to the transmission. And then I believe I can get to the oil pan bolts now. We'll find out in a second when I get back under there. Okay, so oil pan. We got all these bolts here. Doesn't look like any there. And then we got all these bolts along there. Okay. And then let's see what we got in front here. Okay, so just one on either side there, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2, 3. So I'm imagining there's going to be 18 bolts that hold this oil pan on. So I pull all those off, I'll get the pan off, and it has silicone, RTV silicone that holds it on, and then you got a rubber seal in the front and a rubber seal in the back. And I have that. I bought the kit. Alright, so I just got the 18 bolts that hold the oil pan on. Got those off. I disconnected my exhaust to get it out the way. So now I'm gonna get the rubber mallet. I'm gonna knock the oil pan off, get it off, so I can go ahead and get the seals and the gasket silicone all did on this oil pan, and I can put the oil pan back on. I washed it. I'm gonna wash it again after I get it all the way off. Take it all the way off and I'll wash it again. Get this thing cleaned up because it's kind of dirty down here. And then I got that put back together. On that side, I just got to do the new tie rod in on that side. And I didn't put this side on because I wanted to make sure I had enough clearance for everything I need to do over here with the timing belt and everything. Less stuff I have in the way, the easier it's gonna be to take care of it. So yeah, I'll keep you posted. Okay, so got the oil pan down, but now I'm going to take off the pickup tube, and then there's 2 bolts on this side, 2 bolts on that side, and I can take this portion of the pan off, I believe. And then because there's silicone on both sides of this, there's silicone on top and silicone on the bottom there, so I'll pull that off so I can clean all that old silicone off, make sure I get a good seal, clean it up, wipe it down, and then I'll replace the seals and gasket and everything, and I'll put it back together. But I'm going to get everything all nice and cleaned up. Got to pull up that pickup tube so I can get to those 2 bolts there, and then I'll pop those 2 off. And I believe it'll come off after that. I don't think that's attached to this, but I'll find out in just a minute. Okay, so there are the other 4 bolts that I seen on there. They have to come off too, because and they're E10 reverse Torx. So you got 8 millimeters. Everything is 10 millimeter until you get to this. Once you get to this, the ends are 8 millimeters and the middle is E10 reverse Torx, and there's 4 of those. Pull those off and you can get the whole, this rest of the pan off. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get the scraper and we're going to start cleaning all this up so that I got a nice mating surface for the silicone to stick to, so that I can put this back together. Because I can put this back together and still be able to get to my timing belt. So I'm going to go ahead and get this oil pan all taken care of, get it all buttoned up, and then I'll go ahead and proceed to start working on the timing belt. Okay, it's a pretty big deal to get your mating surfaces clean. Still got a little bit to do down here. And I still got something to do over here. But yeah, you want to get your mating surfaces nice and clean. And I'm using a razor to do it, but you got to be careful on the aluminum areas because it's a lot softer and you can gouge it. And you don't want to gouge the aluminum especially. Cast iron, it's not so easy to gouge, but you don't want to use, like on the other part of it, I use the wire brush. I'm not using that down here because this is my engine and I don't want dust particles getting in here anywhere where the oil is going to be. I don't want dust particles. And the parts like the oil pan, I use the wire brush and cleaned it up real nice, but I don't want to do that here in my engine section because dust will score your cylinders, could score your rings, your cylinders, your rings, your bearings. I mean, dust can destroy your engine. I got almost 400,000 miles on this car now, and if I was to get a bunch of dust in here, even if I was to use steel wool, I don't even want to use steel wool because the steel wool will break off and I'd have little pieces of steel wool in here somewhere, more than likely. So rather than that, I'm using just shop towels and a razor blade, and I'm scraping it and wiping it. And I'm hoping that is going to be the best way to do this, and it's going to be able to, and I'll be able to keep everything nice and clean with no dust in my engine, and so I can continue and get a whole lot more miles out of it. Okay, so I just wiped it down with alcohol where I'm going to be putting my silicone at. Cleaned it all up, wiped it down with the alcohol, and now I'm about to start. I gotta put it back together now. Yeah. Okay, so now I got that back in. And with these seals that go in the front and the back, what I did is I put some silicone on there and I stuck it up there first because there's no groove on this oil pan to hold it in place. So I put silicone here. Well, you can't see. I put silicone on the metal part after I cleaned it with alcohol, and then I also put it on the engine, and then I stuck that up there, and then I put the pan on after. That way I know that it's where it needs to be. So when I put the pan on, the pan just holds it in place. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and get started with this oil pan. Oh, and on that other part that's inside, up under the oil pan, it was 8. There wasn't 8 millimeter. It looked like it was, but it wasn't. They were actually all the this reverse Torx. They were all the reverse Torx, but the 8 millimeter actually took it off because they wasn't too tight. And that's an E10 reverse Torx on the other part of the oil pan that's inside the oil pan.